Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another IT Wire TV video. I'm here today at SAP Connect 2025 on day 2, and I'm joined by Marjolijn Woods. She's the Chief Human Resources Officer at South Australian company Codan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Alex. Good to be here.
Yeah, great. Thank you for taking the time. Now, I had a look at your website. You were founded in 1959, and it says that you develop rugged and reliable electronics for government and corporate and NGOs. And currently, you're working on metal detection and communications. And you can tell me about what you're doing today in a moment. But I noticed that the name struck out to me because I always remember the Codan Armada from the movie The Last Starfighter. And clearly, in 1959, that movie didn't exist. So, my dreams that you were inspired by that have been blown up like the Death Star around the forest moon of Endor. So with that bit of sci-fi out of the way, please tell us about Codan in 2025.
So Codan's a global technology group. So we have 3 key businesses, and I think you touched on some of those. So communication, detection and connection. So we operate in 5 continents across about 15 offices. We've grown enormously in the last 4 years because of acquisition. So I tend to defer to talking about numbers by way of headcount. So we've grown from, in 2021, we had about 250, 300 employees, and now we're over 1,000.
Wow.
So 7 acquisitions in the last 4 years. It's exciting. It's a little bit chaotic sometimes, but it's a fantastic organisation. And as you said, it has its roots in South Australia. A really fantastic story. If your listeners want to get on our website, there's more information there. But 3 Adelaide University friends who started it all in 1959, as you said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was even before, I don't know, the big sort of 1970s boom in Silicon Valley where Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were part of the homebrew computer club making computers. I mean, we did have Hewlett-Packard, I think, a bit earlier than that, making things out of their garage. Were the 3 founders in their garage, perchance? Because that's the typical story. They started it in a garage.
Let's stick with that.
Yeah.
So their early customers were the School of the Air and also the Royal Flying Doctors Service, which are quite iconic in South Australia. So it's a fantastic story.
And again, we can look at the website, but were those 7 acquisitions mainly tech companies?
Yes, I think you could call it that. So very much in the communication part of our organisation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So you're here, like I am, at SAP Connect 2025. So what SAP products and services have you already been using, and how long have you been a customer?
Well, being a customer predates my time at Codan. I've been with the organisation 7 years. So let me perhaps focus on the HR side of things. I can speak a little bit more credibly to that. When I joined, we already used SuccessFactors, so SAP SuccessFactors, but in let's call it a light version.
Yeah.
So we used it for our performance and goals and for recruitment. But of course, that was quite disjointed, I suppose, in terms of the broader platform and its capabilities. So last year in September 2024, we went live with a full implementation. Still got a little way to go with really adopting it across the business, but for us it was really fantastic to just bring together, the catchphrase "single source of truth," a way to connect with all 1,000 employees that we have, which we couldn't do prior to that.
Yeah, and obviously having that growth of employees, I mean, it had great benefits having this platform that could manage that number of people and scale to what you required it to scale to.
Absolutely. So I think it's also about setting ourselves up for the future so that as we acquire more organisations, we can bring them into a space quite quickly.
You can onboard them easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the announcements that we've heard over the last couple of days, and there's still more to come tomorrow, what has excited you the most, and what will you be implementing back at HQ?
I think what's excited me the most is AI and specifically Joule. So this morning, Dan, and I forget Dan's surname, was talking about how in a performance review process, how AI and Joule can pull
all the relevant information together.
Now, we've still got a little bit of work to do in terms of making sure that we have those data points, and that's what I meant about the adoption. The more adoption we have of the platform, the more data points we have. But in terms of the capability of the platform to really turbocharge the benefit that performance and goals has, for example, in terms of meaningful conversations, setting objectives, But we've got really clear strategy across all of our divisions and as a group as a whole. That's really well defined. So it's just about cascading that down into the platform and letting people connect with what their priorities are and linking that back there. So we've got some work to do on the adoption, but in terms of how we can leverage the platform's capability and really make our people more connected to the strategy, it's really exciting.
And also, I mean, the whole purpose of these agentic AI dual agents is that they actually make the adoption process much easier because you're talking to it, you're asking it to do things for you, and then it's doing it. It's like the perfect. It's almost like the Star Trek natural language interface, which is another sci-fi reference.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're moving to. I mean, ChatGPT in the last couple of days has announced that you can now have apps inside of ChatGPT, and they've done a deal with Stripe. You can buy things. You can do Booking.com. One of the people mentioned it today in one of the keynotes here at SAP Connect, and they're talking about how ChatGPT is becoming a spoken operating system, an operating system you speak to, and that's clearly what's going to happen with all of the AI agents from every company. I mean, the thought that was running through my mind earlier was, well, I see everyone typing, but I mean, you could just hit the speech button and you can talk to it. The only thing that's not doing it is reading it back to you, and that's just a tick for the developers to do. So that natural language interface is here.
Absolutely, and certainly for me, I love that function of I talk better than I write. And it's much more efficient, and I think it's a much more natural way of expressing your curiosity. So absolutely, it's fantastic to see that capability. We have a high percentage of our employees are engineers, so a little less engaged with having conversations and setting objectives, but I think that the technology that the platform brings will help, as you say, to just draw them into it and naturally use.
Well, they'll probably feel more comfortable talking to the computer than they will talking to humans, because that's engineers, right?
That's right. Okay.
So, as you said, you've been a customer since before your time, which is the last 7 years. But with the current implementation, and of course with the upgrades that are coming, are you working directly with SAP, or was there a third-party implementation partner? How are you currently working to get SAP upgraded and to learn how to use more of its functions, even though Joul's going to make it easier to do that just by talking?
So a little bit of both. So we do work with a partner for our implementation. We're We've been really happy with the partner that we had for the SuccessFactors implementation, and we're going on to do some more ECP implementations in some of our other regions. Currently, we only use ECP for Australia and Dubai, so we'll be looking for a North American partner to do that. We're already a smaller organisation compared to some of the fantastic places here, so we don't have a well-resourced in-house capability for that. But we're also talking with SAP about an account manager for our organisation so that we can learn what else is out there. We don't know what we don't know, so SAP will certainly seek to help us with that.
Yeah, and I mean, learning how to use this sort of system or implement it properly, it's not as simple as just firing up YouTube and finding the right video. You do need professional help, and of course, plenty of that exists.
Yeah.
So as we have just spoken about, you'll obviously have access to all those fantastic dual AI, agentic AI solutions. But how has Codan been using AI separately to that over the past couple of years? I realize that may not be something necessarily in your wheelhouse, but you might have some idea about how AI has helped the creation of all those electronics.
I think we're still on that journey right now. We've recently appointed a COO to the executive, so that's a newly created role, and part of that role is hyper-focused on AI and supercharging that capability within the organisation, or the uptake within the organisation. So it really is very exciting times ahead. We're right in it right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only in November 2022 that ChatGPT burst onto the scene. Before then, it was algorithms and machine learning. And I mean, our understanding of AI and what it can do, I mean, ChatGPT is not even 3 years old yet. This time last year, I was saying ChatGPT is not even 2 years old yet. But we're still very early in the piece. So it's such an exciting time to be implementing all of this. It's just changing everything. So what else do we need to know about Codan and your work with SAP?
Well, we're an acquisitive organisation, so I think we'll see our organisation grow, so our employees grow. We'll be looking to implement in probably new locations, whether it's in continents we already exist in, and then we'll also be really looking to build out the HR strategy. The last 4 years, so much growth where we're still playing catch up with our systems and processes so that they serve the organisation that we are today. And that will continue to evolve. So there's things that haven't quite rolled up to the top of the priority list yet.
Yes.
So really, I said before, we've implemented the entire suite of modules. But our
For
update-
SuccessFactors or for the entire?
for SuccessFactors. And so seeing us really get the buy-in for those and utilise those more comprehensively across the organisation. We do use SAP in other parts of the business, but I can't speak very credibly.
Well,
to
yeah.
those.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, we've heard about the supply chain orchestration, and of course, there's all the finance, and so there's lots of other aspects of SAP that you could be using. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are manufacturers, or at least working with manufacturers in China or wherever that help make the products. So there's a lot of opportunity to take advantage of other parts of SAP.
So we do use it across our organisation for certainly for finance and supply chain. We use Concur. I'm fairly sure that's an SAP product. So we do use it in other parts, and they'll be going through their own journeys as well in terms of rolling that out from an IT integration perspective. So getting there step by step.
And Concur is an SAP product. So do you have any colleagues here who are from the other parts of Codan that are looking at the supply chain orchestration, or are they watching the online stream? Or you don't know?
I don't know. No, our COO is just on.
Just new, yeah.
I think that will be something that we certainly do.
Well, this whole conference will be available to watch on demand, and I'm sure the SAP Australia people will be very happy to help if he needs more.
Fantastic.
I always like to ask a couple of personal questions just to learn a little bit more about you beyond what we know about you with the company. And the one question I'm always curious about is, can you share a memory of your first personal computer?
I think I must have been at university, Alex. I feel a little underqualified in this audience to talk about my technology experience, but it would have been at university for sure.
So my second last question is to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you received in life to help you get where you are today.
Well, we grew up in a household where thou shalt always tell the truth. So as an adult, there's always room for white lies, but I think it certainly has driven an authenticity, which as an Australian, sometimes it can be a little bit brash for some people, but it's certainly something that I stand by.
Very good. So what is your final message to the viewers and the readers?
I've heard a bit the last few days about perhaps a fearfulness around AI taking over the workforce or pushing people out of the organisation. And I think what I'm hearing is that there is a partnership, and it's about enhancing what people do, growing their capability, and certainly not around reducing headcount. And I think that's a really important message for our employees to hear, but I suspect that is the case in other organisations too.
Yeah, look, AI is, technology is meant to be our friend, not our enemy. It's not meant to kill us all or replace us all. And certainly, what people ascribe to AI, these magical capabilities, it's still too early, I mean, what it can do is amazing, and it's changing industries as we know it. But, I think let's talk in 10 or 20 years about if AI is going to take people's jobs or not.
Let's do that.
Well, Marjolijn Woods, Chief Human Resources Officer at Codan from South Australia, global company. Thank you so much for taking the time. Great to see you here in Las Vegas, another fellow Aussie, and I hope to see you here next year.
Thanks, Alex. Pleasure to be here.
Bye-bye.